everybody? Prop Holiday here with BettorOff Sports. I am very excited to have a guest this evening to talk about the NBA draft. I have Monotone Football with me, the famous player prop specialist and contributor to Bet Insider. Monotone, Stuart, take it over.
Yeah, Vegas Insider, but yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to be here talking about drafts. I just got off capping the NBA this year to a lot of success. And in the off season, I've been working on college football breakdowns and NFL breakdowns. You can find that all over at Vegas Insider or on my Twitter. And then now I'm working with the NBA draft, and it's been a blast, honestly. This is the most fun I've had since the NBA is over. I don't know about you, but I'm loving it.
It was an up and down season for me. I loved the season. It didn't end the way I kind of wanted to. I finished strong in the playoffs, but the overall season record was not what I was expecting. But I am looking forward to the NFL. But before we get there, we are excited to talk about the draft on Thursday night. We each have a couple picks that we want to go over. We feel really good about. Before we do, I think it's good to talk about the big trade that went down. If anyone has read, it was tweeted out by Woj, the trade that impacts the draft the most. It is the Memphis Grizzlies trading Jonas Valanciunas 17-51 over to the New Orleans Pelicans. In return, they get Steven Adams, Eric Bledsoe, 10, 40, and the Lakers 2022 protected pick. So this shakes up the top 10 with now the Grizzlies getting to that number 10 pick. What are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, so initially he was a guy that I didn't have in the top 10, right? He wasn't someone I was looking at really at all in that area, and no mocks, like none of the big ones really had him there up until recently. And with this trade, now it's almost like he's a lock at 10. I just read a couple minutes ago a new mock from basketballnews.com, and it had Giddey going at 7 to the Warriors. Actually, it seems like this move up from 10 has actually involved almost the whole 7 to 10 range in Giddey. So Giddey top 10 is looking like a great bet. It's a different number at almost every book, but if you can get it with some reasonable odds, it seems like he's pretty close to a lock as we can get. I mean, guys from all the reputable sites, including ESPN as the biggest one, have pretty much confirmed that is who they traded up to. So that was their intention with Giddey right there. So that puts pressure on other teams like the Warriors to maybe leapfrog them and grab them at 7. So I'm loving that top 10 bet right now.
So yeah, Josh Giddey at 10. The Australian, the past first player, played in the NBL, same league as LaMelo last year. I can definitely see it. It's a lot of implications for this trade, not just the top 10. Obviously, we're focusing on the draft, but, the reports coming out, Eric Bledsoe not expected to stay with the team. For the Pelicans, this frees up 20 to 26 million in cap space. So now they get a lot more flexibility going into the season to shape that team around Zion. There's rumors that Brandon Ingram could be on the move to Miami. So they're going to be a team that's fun to watch in the offseason. Now, Kevin O'Connor of The Ringer reported the Grizzlies are trying to move up again from 10. They're targeting possibly Kuminga, possibly Bouknight. So this just happening a couple days before the draft. Could be a lot more trades coming. We know that'll shake things up. But there's a couple of plays that, as of right now, we feel really good at. Obviously, Stuart feels good about Giddey in the top 10 now, and I can certainly see it. Anything else, man? Anything else you find interesting about the trade or implications?
I guess for people that aren't familiar with him, he's known for his facilitating, and then his three-point shot has improved a good amount. I personally didn't love the fit at first when I first heard the rumor that it was Giddey who they were eyeing at number 10. But it seems more and more likely right here. He's a pass first, kind of like you mentioned earlier, like facilitator. But going into the Grizzlies, if that's where he was drafted, Ja Morant's obviously a ball dominant guard. So it would definitely be a bit of an interesting fit that I wasn't in love with when I first heard. But if they're trying to trade up again using that 10 as the key piece and maybe the Lakers protected pick from next year, then I could see them foregoing him and jumping up to 6 to grab maybe Bouknight or someone like that.
Yeah, no, definitely. And Bouknight's he's a hot name in this draft. That since the combine and all the pre-draft workouts, he's skyrocketed upwards. But springboarding off of that, I'm going to go into my first play that I really love for this draft. He's also the guy I'm about to talk about. He's also been a riser. I'd love Scotty Barnes to go number 5 to Orlando, or whoever's there at number 5, at minus 125 on FanDuel. So, Scotty Barnes, is he Ben Simmons? Is he Kyle Anderson? I think his upside's too high to ignore. We love players that can defend multiple positions. Can he improve upon his shot making? Obviously, he can handle the ball a little bit, but the athleticism is there. I think someone like Orlando, they don't have a player like this. They don't really have core pieces. There's no one on that team that you'd be saying, oh, I have to build around Cole Anthony. No, they really just need talented players on that roster. When I see Scotty Barnes, is he what we thought Ben Simmons should be by now? Does he have that upside? I think he does. He's been rising the entire pre-draft process. So Scotty Barnes, number 5 to Orlando at minus 125 on FanDuel. You can find it on a bunch of other books. But what do you think of Scotty Barnes?
Yeah, this is one I'm aligned with you without a doubt. And even besides my own personal opinion, if you look at the numbers right now, FanDuel Sportsbook has under 5.5 at minus 235. So that's some pretty crazy. So the books have pretty much decided that he's either going to go 4 or 5 to the Raptors, or number 5, to the Magic. And the Magic is just so much better of a fit because the Raptors' timeline for competing is a lot shorter than the Magic. The Raptors aren't quite there yet. They missed off on the playoffs this year, but they want to get back there immediately. Yeah. And drafting a guy like Scotty Barnes doesn't fit in at all right there. He's not a guy that's going to come in and instantly be a star. He probably needs a couple years. Yeah. We have some problems with his aggressiveness and with his jump shot, very similar to Ben Simmons. I think it's a really good comp. He's oversized for his position, great defensive flexibility, but when it comes to his offensive game, there's plenty of work to be done. And what better spot than the Magic to have a couple of years to really nail down that jump shot? So I'm aligned with you 100%.
Couldn't agree more. Feeding on that, because we talked about the top 5. Another play I like, it's a first 4 exact order. And I feel pretty confident about the top end talent in this draft. So Cade Cunningham going first, Jalen Green going number 2, Evan Mobley 3, and then Jalen Suggs 4. So if you nail those first 4, it's plus 146 on FanDuel. Cade Cunningham, I think he's a lock to go first. There was some smokescreen, and that's what I'm going to call it, smokescreen stuff by Woj today saying Detroit is uncertain. But everything we've heard up into now is that Cade Cunningham, through multiple executives, it's a no-brainer. He's your first-round pick. He's someone could play it in many different styles, many different facets. He can shoot, he can distribute. Is he a better LaMelo Ball? So I think Cade is locked in there at number 1, even though Oklahoma City has made a sizable offer, from what I understand, to Detroit, and Detroit turned it down. They got their guy. So Cade Cunningham 1, Jalen Green at number 2 probably has the most upside of anyone in this draft. Maybe Bradley Beal, hopefully not Zach LaVine, but Jalen Green at number 2, I feel good about. And Evan Mobley, his floor is Chris Bosh. His ceiling could be Kevin Garnett. We're seeing what Anthony Davis and Giannis, 7-footers who can extend to the perimeter, can bring. So not only does it from a fit, but from a talent standpoint, Mobley at 3, and then Jalen Suggs. Jalen Suggs 4 to Toronto. Kyle Lowry is all but gone. I think he's a great fit there. I think he's a stable player. He has a couple Jason Kidd comparisons, but that's my 4 from a talent perspective. And I feel pretty confident in this, and you get plus money. The only thing that would change it would be a major trade, but Cunningham, Green, Mobley, Suggs in that order at plus 146 on FanDuel.
Yeah, that seems to be the consensus top 4 right now. I don't think the Raptors are going to do anything crazy like we just talked about and take Barnes. That seems, it was reported also that Franz Wagner was also on their board at number 4. I don't even know what to say about that one, but I think the plus money is great. The only thing I'm really worried about is, like you said a second ago, is trades right here. That's the only thing that's personally kept me back from it. But I've never been one that agrees with the rumor that Colin Sexton gets moved this offseason. It feels like we read a lot about Sexton not being a good locker room guy and kind of stuff like that. But it almost seems to me like this is kind of stuff coming out of the Cleveland beat reporters that it's almost like they don't have anything else to talk about. We haven't really seen any evidence of this. It seems like the Garland Sexton backcourt of the future is going to remain intact. Now you got a piece at Mobley to put right next to Jarrett Allen, who's going to walk next offseason because they're not going to pay him whatever money he probably deserves. So I really think they're going to get their center of the future at number 3. And I don't see the Raptors doing any big crazy trades with Siakam or anything like that, number 4. So I think it's a really solid bet, and plus 150 or 146 is really great to go along with it.
It's essentially a parlay, but it feels. I don't buy into the hype. I feel these guys were the top 4 high school recruits going into this year. They're still the top 4 picks. So from a talent standpoint, these are my guys. It could shake up. Maybe Mobley goes 2. I don't know. But I feel pretty confident. Cunningham, Green, Mobley, Suggs at plus 146 on FanDuel. Now let's get down a little bit more into the weeds. They're not top 5 guys. Still don't know how to say his last name, but I'm going for it. Alperen Sengun, the old school, traditional, unathletic big. I like him to be under 12 and a half. Under 12 and a half picks. So go through 1 through 12. And this is minus 112 on FanDuel. So when I see this guy, I see Jokic. I see Jokic passing ability. He's a half-court player. He is the traditional big, but his passing ability is extremely valuable. It is a bit of a copycat league. I know we say it more for the NFL, but with the NBA, Jokic is coming off an MVP season. I think this springboards this guy's stock. It's very similar to what happened with Ayton. And Joel Embiid comes off a career year. Now Ayton goes number 1. Could or should it have been Luka? Hindsight, yes. But when you see something that's working and you go, oh, wow, I can have this. Look what my possibilities are. I think it helps a lot for Alperen Sengun to go under 12 and a half. So the fits that I love, all before pick 13, Orlando, Sacramento, and San Antonio. He just seems like a San Antonio guy to me. So all of these picked before 13. I know you had another idea for him, but under 12 and a half for Alperen Sengun at minus 112 on FanDuel.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think he could also slide in, just like you said, another one at number 10 if the Grizzlies do stay there. They just ended up, losing Jonas Valanciunas. They still have Jaren Jackson Jr. there, who was playing the 4. Maybe they move him to the 5 now. I could see that. But either way, I really like this. I haven't personally bet it yet, just because these big white European guys seem to go anywhere from 5 to 40. Like, these guys every year are the biggest risers or the biggest fallers. It just seems so inconsistent on a year-to-year basis. But
yeah, no, I agree. It is a little bit flex. There is some fluidity to it. You think of the Boris Diaws, the Thiago Splitters of the world. Alperen Sengun, a passing big. He seems like a San Antonio Spur. But no, I could see him fitting into a myriad of offenses. Orlando there at 8. That's probably his highest possibility. Again, he is more of a half court offense guy, but he's had a lot of good workouts. I think he is probably one of the more popular European players that we have in this draft. So under 12 and a half with his passing ability, coming off a Jokic MVP season, I like his stock. I like him to be off the board before 13.
Sorry. I was just going to hop in there with 11 as a really good fit too. Anyone that plays, any big that's going to play with LaMelo Ball for the rest of his career is going to look so much better than someone that's not playing with LaMelo Ball with those facilitating skills. They need a big man. They're not going to do Cody Zeller anymore. They're tired of that. It's really pretty bad for how much pick and roll potential they have. They want to lock down the big man of the future, and I think 11 is a really good place to start.
There we go. So having multiple fits before that 13th pick, I really like Alperen Sengun to be off the board at 12 and a half. The last guy, my last play, is something we can completely see eye to eye on. His name's been shooting up draft boards this last week. Chris Duarte, under 16 and a half. I found it at minus 130 on DraftKings as early as yesterday. He's on the radar for the Warriors at 14. The New York Knicks are talking about packaging 19 and 21 to move up for this guy. So him coming off the board at under 16 and a half before the 17th pick, I love it. But I know you love him a little bit more. What do you think of Duarte?
Yeah, I mean, 19 was the number. It opened at 20, quickly moved down to 19. I think 19 was the perfect number. I'm pretty much all in on it there. Second biggest position besides Bouknight in this draft. But I mean, 14 is the clear match. He fits in perfectly with Golden State. He's going to instantly come in at 14 and shoot the ball extremely well from the 3-point line and probably play some pretty good defense along the way too. 14 is just a perfect fit, and even if he somehow falls beyond that, I don't think it's going to be far because everybody knows Golden State is really interested in that. So that's why we're hearing these kind of Knicks rumors too, that maybe they use 19 and 21 to get their guy before Golden State can. It's just such a great fit. I really love it with Golden State at 14 though.
Yeah, no. So him going under 16 and a half, we're eye to eye on. So those are my four that I feel really good about. Like anything with the NBA draft, we feel good about leans, but it's all subject to change. So I think you said it before, and I completely agree. Just be very cautionary with any of these picks. You're not betting your full bankroll. You're not betting multiple units on a lot of things that are as fluid as the NBA draft. But we have some pretty good feels about the first round of this draft. So just being very cautious with things that are so much subject to change. It's not like a player's over under in points. This is a very, very different game, but can be analyzed, can be looked into a little bit more. With that, I know you have some plays that you love, and I want to hear more about Jared Butler.
Perfect. Jared Butler is at under 26.5. That's minus 130 on Bovada. So any offshore book that you have. And that's also 21.5 on FanDuel. So there's a 5-position middle right there already that if any kind of trade happens with the Lakers, because we're hearing trade rumors, I think the Lakers is his best fit at 22. If we're hearing some kind of trade rumors, I might hit the middle right there because then there's a good 5-position gap where he still could go to someone like the Clippers. But for those of you that don't know him, he's a combination guard out of Butler. He can do multiple things. He can score. That's probably the biggest thing he's going to give you off the bat this year. But his facilitating skills have promise. He's going to be at least a league average defense. I think there's more potential there. This guy's a lottery talent is what I'm trying to say. The biggest problem is he had to go up in front of the NBA medical advising board and prove that he was healthy enough to play. He passed that board. Everything seems to be fine. He played at Baylor last year. It's some kind of condition that he was born with that we're not looking at like a cure from, but as long as it's managed well, he can play basketball. And he's done that at Baylor. He's been one of the best players in the nation at Baylor. And now we're getting him at 26.5. I think that's personally a bit ridiculous. I don't know if you have an opinion on this one, but
no, I mean, these are guys that fit into today's NBA. If you look at the finals we just watched, who's on the floor? Who's playing? You got guys like Bryn Forbes. You got I'm trying to think who else. You got guys like Cam Johnson. Can you hit a three? Yep. Can you defend? Do you have the IQ to be on the floor late in games? And that's what these teams are looking for. And these teams later in the draft are the ones that are going to be in the playoffs next year. So someone like Butler, I can certainly see go before the end of the first round. There's always going to be a spot for him on an NBA roster. He shot 41.6% from three as a junior. He averaged 38% from three for his career. These guys find homes in the NBA. And later in the draft, before the end of the first round, if you get a playoff team, they're going to want someone as their 7th, 8th, 9th man to give crucial minutes in a finals like we just saw. So I completely agree.
Yeah, and even beyond that too, like I personally think he's a better prospect than multiple of these guys ahead of him. Guys like even Duarte, who we just talked about, like Jared or Butler can just do more. Like overall, Duarte can shoot threes, he can defend, but Butler can score on multiple levels. He can get it done in the mid-range. He can operate the pick and roll. He can hit the three when he's asked upon for it. He can probably even control second teams on some of these pretty good teams. Like he's a guy that if he didn't have this health concern looming over him, he'd probably be more 15-16 range. And I think that's actually where he gets drafted. I think a lot of people get surprised. I think he goes earlier than this 26.5 number indicates, which is, like I said before, 5 points off market from FanDuel. So,
oh, wow. I mean, this is a great find, but I wouldn't expect anything less from you, man. What do you think about Joshua Primo?
Yeah, I mean, we're staying in the weeds, The top 10 guys are the most fun, but these late riser guys, that are in the 30s are the most value we're going to see. This is a guy that just was mocked at number 22 to the Lakers in Kevin O'Connor's last mock draft, and his draft position is at 31. So that's almost 9 points off from one of the best mock drafters in the industry. We're looking at a guy that's average mock draft position by some of these like sharp guys is around 26, 27. We have 4 pick leg room. This is a guy that can come in and he'll be a little bit raw, but he can instantly provide scoring. So that's off the bat. He has NBA defensive upside already. We saw it in college. We know he's at least going to be a solid defender. We're not worried about that. And he's a guy that can contribute to multiple teams already. He's a little bit raw. If he stayed in college another year, he might be closer to a lottery pick next year, I think. But he saw his, I guess, stock rising in this draft, and now we're all seeing it. This number started in the higher 30s. It's down to 31 now. I think it might be 29 in some spots, but I'm liking the under no matter what. I really like the potential he has.
No, I mean, played for Alabama, from Canada, 6'6" with a 6'11" wingspan. I mean, he's got length, the ability to defend the 1 through the 3. Could pose a threat for the smaller guards. He can match up with your threes. Versatility is the key of the NBA now. Can you get out to the perimeter? Can you stand your ground on the block if you need to? I completely agree. And there, like you said, there's definitely a reason that he decided to come out early. I like it. I like him to go at some point in the first round.
The guy's 18 years old. You're getting first round talent, probably lottery talent if you waited another year in the first round. One team, it doesn't have to, it can be a good team that's sitting pretty for next year that they want to load up on these talented players for the future. It's not risky. This guy's talented. He's super raw. He's super young. We've got plenty of time to develop him. I think it would be really stupid for him to fall out the first round, and I just don't see it happening.
No. And I think you mentioned it. It opened at plus 105. Now it's down to minus 150. So either they picked up on it because we picked up on it, but this guy looks like he's going in the first round. I agree. In general, there was one or two. I mean, we talked about Duarte a little bit. You mentioned Giddey at the top of the pod. There's one other guy I know you want to talk about. He's flying up draft boards. Let me know what you think of James Bouknight.
I mean, this is the biggest mover we've seen out of anyone in the draft so far. For a guy to go from someone who was in the 10, 11 range, to start out, to a guy that's now, I would say, I'm not going to say a lock because the Thunder have so much draft capital that they can make so many different trades. But I think I'm pretty confident he goes 6. If he doesn't go 6, I don't think there's any way he goes by 7. So I started it out at 10.5. That was the initial number. So I have under 10.5. And then I have multiple units tied up in under 9.5, and then I have another unit in under 8.5, along with some matchups versus guys like Keon Johnson, who started out with his number at 8.5, and that's moved up to 11.5, and another guy in Franz Wagner, another matchup I have. I just love Bouknight. I mean, I couldn't see him falling behind number 7. Like I thought initially when this number first came out, I thought, boom, Scotty Barnes, number 5, James Bouknight, number 8 to the Magic. That's perfect. You get your offense and you get probably one of the best scorers in the draft off the bat. Now he's probably not even going to be there at 8 when the Magic want him. They're probably going to have to settle for someone else. But Bouknight has surpassed Kuminga as the number 6 guy, and I really can't see him falling past 7. So you're going to see 7.5s on the market right now. And if I didn't have so many units tied up into this guy already, I would still be there with you.
No, I don't see him getting past the Thunder. I think he pairs well with Shea. He brings too much offense, and that's exactly what we need. He's been flying up draft boards lately. Could he potentially go 5 instead of Scotty Barnes? Wouldn't surprise me. I would say that much. I know I do still feel good about Scotty Barnes at 5, but the way everybody's talking about Bouknight, I think 6 to 7. You can get anything under 7.5. I'd feel pretty comfortable with it. Definitely a flyer. But is there anyone else? Is there any other just general comments you want to mention before we wrap up? I know we threw a lot of picks at everyone, but we put a lot of thought into this. It's kind of that quiet time between end of the NBA, And obviously the NFL season, unless you're betting Olympics, which I haven't dipped my toe in, but I know you have.
I'm undefeated, 1-0, 100% win rate so far.
I might throw my hat in. I don't know. I mean, it depends how early I get up in the morning to watch. But I've seen some pretty awesome lines. What was your one hit for the Olympics, real quick?
Oh God, I have to try to say it. He's Yuta Watanabe. I'm not sure how to say his name. He's a backup wing guy for the Raptors in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
But he's the number 2 scoring option on Team Japan next to Rui Hachimura. And they put up a really dumb number. I'm no expert. I actually don't watch any of these games. I don't really have any interest in watching them. But when this guy's hit like 18 points, 25 points in almost all of his exhibition games, and they put down a 14.5, then I kind of had to jump on that. You know, if I see another bad number like that, I'll jump back in. But I'm not necessarily committed to the Olympics, and I don't blame anyone for staying out of it.
Yeah, no, it is. It is the downtime. It's the downtime. You know, there's a couple PGA going on. Unless you're into MLB, I dare not cross that line into MLB. There's gonna be some UFC coming up, but no, definitely some good stuff, man. I appreciate you coming on. It's been awesome. We've been kind of talking on Twitter for a while now. It's awesome to finally have you on the pod and kind of get behind the brain in those picks because no, you're awesome at doing this. It's been a pleasure, man. Thank you so much.
I'm glad I could join. It was a lot of fun. I love the NBA draft. Any chance I get to talk about it, I'll take it. I'll talk about this all day.
Awesome. Guys, make sure you're following Better Off Sports. I'm Prop Holiday on Twitter with 2 L's. He's Monotone Football with 1 L. This is what we got for the NBA draft, and maybe you hear more from us during the NFL season. Thank you guys for watching.